This week, ESPN put out a ranking of the top 100 players to move in this year's transfer portal. That would be December and spring, so both portals combined. You see there that Nico Iamaleava was their poster boy. Number 5 on the list of the top 100 guys to move from one place to another. He was the 5th best, according to ESPN, when he landed at UCLA. He's the only former Vol to make the list, so you didn't have a huge amount of top 100 guys that left here, just Nico at number 5. But the Vols didn't land a single player ranked in ESPN's top 100, meaning Iamaleava was number 5, Joey Aguilar at best was 101. You had Gio Lopez, the quarterback from South Alabama who went to North Carolina. He was the number 100 prospect on this list, so Joey Aguilar behind Gio Lopez, who went to North Carolina. You see there the number of players out of the top 100 who landed at different SEC schools. 12 SEC schools represented. Those who were not didn't get a top 100 player. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Florida, Tennessee. My question, Jimmy Heins, has Tennessee done enough in the transfer portal? And I'll give you, before we just say no, there are options. You could be, we discussed this on the digital network this week with Ryan. You could look at it and say, this is the roster building plan for Josh Heupel. So for his plan, yes, they did what they needed to do. You could look at it that way. You could look at it and say they got plenty of players, or you could look at it and say, no, they haven't done enough. I give you those 3 options because that's what we're going to do in the poll a little later. Now, I ask you, have they done enough?
No.
Simple enough.
Need to do more. I thought they needed to hit the wide receiver position more. I know they're bringing in the guy from Alabama, but I think they needed to have somebody that was proven at this level.
Yeah, he was a freshman last year who didn't get on the field due to injury.
And there were LSU got 2 proven receivers.
Yeah.
And so to help with their quarterback, who's pretty darn good in his own right, I thought they needed to shore it up a little bit more there. I know they got 2 defensive backs. We'll see how good they are. But I thought Tennessee needed to be bring in more good players from the portal than they did. So I think they fell short in that regard.
Okay.
I'll say no. I mean, you just don't have enough depth. When's the last time you saw a team that didn't have an injury on the offensive line? Dane Davis isn't walking through that door anymore if you deal with another injury at tackle. So
I think the Larry Johnson departure
Yes.
was much bigger than people are letting on because I don't know who your backup.
No, at tackle, Ivans is going to, Tyler's the one that's going to be
You ready?
in a tackle if they end up
I still have
having an
eligibility
injury.
left, yes.
So, look, at the end of the day, Tennessee, I do think they had to pay guys that did not expect to have to pay more money to, and then mount somebody that didn't expect to have to pay. You're paying 3 quarterbacks right now. Not a lot of schools are doing that. But no, you don't have enough depth because you're going to deal with injuries at tackle. You're going to deal with injuries on the wide receiving core, and you just flat don't have enough warm bodies that can play at this level in those positions.
All right, so we got 2 no's. Hold on, Ryan. I'll let you come in last. You're the
3.
recruiting guy. You say no, they haven't done enough.
3 no's. I think that this is the story of the offseason for the University of Tennessee because Nico kind of goes into he left in the transfer portal. Now who did you add in addition? Stop and answer this question quickly. Do you feel confident about a single position on the offensive side of the football right now? Kitzelman at tight end, he's hurt, concerns at tight end. Already have giant question marks, maybe even with Lance Hurd and David Sanders at tackles. Centers, you've already questioned. Wide receivers, you only have 6 scholarship athletes in Kelsey Pope's room. Beside Deshaun Bishop, who in that has me in the role of number 1 lead back is in question. The guys you have behind him, oh yeah, you also have a quarterback that's a giant question mark. You didn't improve on any of those offensive sides of the ball or any of those key positions.
Jeez.
Tennessee, to me, needed to do a whole lot more than what maybe the other guys are leading on to. Now, how that will result wins and losses, we'll see. That's a massive concern.
Pencil you in for 5 and 7, or 6 and
No,
7.
no. I still think it's an 8 and 14. Why? Because Josh Heupel and that coaching staff's that good.
Here's a cup of arsenic for you.
Yes, seriously.
Ryan, all right, so we got 3 no's. Where are you?
Okay, the answer is no because they didn't bring in anybody at wide receiver that's really going to help them. Amari Jefferson didn't play last year even before the injury at Alabama,
Yeah.
so he's not a guy that you can really count on for anything this year. You needed something there at receiver to help you, but I've talked about before, that's a complicated situation, but I still think the right person you would have taken there. There was all this talk about Carnell Tate getting into the transfer portal and all that. There was interest in bringing in a big-time guy if you could have gotten one. So they didn't get that.
Tennessee dangled cash, and he stayed at Ohio State.
Well, is
that fair to say?
So there are things that you're always doing to try to, just like at quarterback.
Yes, that's fair to say.
This spring, that you're trying to get guys to come and address your need at quarterback. It didn't work there. So you didn't get everything you wanted, and that's another one. They didn't get what they wanted at quarterback. They had to take what was left, which was UCLA's.
I'm amazed at how many people are now taking that as just, well, that's an upgrade. the number of people who are telling me that's a big upgrade.
I mean, I think
it
under the-
may be. I don't know. It may be, but I certainly don't sit there. Oh yeah, huge upgrade. I don't know that. I don't know. My guess is the other guy's getting graded higher than your guy. The other school had the guy you've got, and they
Well-
said, no, we'd rather have Nico than him.
So that's
That would concern me. Doesn't mean that's going to play out when you get him in Heupel's offense.
That's where I was going is I don't care about this list because none of us have any idea what anybody's getting out of the transfer portal. And I'm not picking on anybody's evaluations. I'll pick on our own at 24/7 Sports. Last year, you look at our top 100, you know who was in the top 100 from Tennessee? Chris Brazel. Holden Stays. He was Tennessee's number 2 tight end. You know who wasn't in the top 100? Miles Kitzelman, who was a steal.
Yeah.
Jermod McCoy, who was one of the best players out of the transfer portal anywhere. Jackson Moy,
it's hard
who's
to-
going to start for Tennessee this year. So it's all about what you're finding. Too many people get these rankings. You're focused on what they were rated out of high school or what they look like they did at their previous school or what you think they still might have potential to do. You're not really looking at the guys who might fly under the radar for one reason or another. You got to evaluate well. If Tennessee evaluated well, I don't think we'll look at this list and care in a few months.